Hi, I'm Antonio Centeno, the founder of Real Men Real Style, and this video is in support of my article over at The Art of Manliness, and today I'm going to be talking about how to improve your business casual look. And this article comes about because I don't know if you've ever worked in an office environment, but if you look around, most men dress the same. The idea of what is business casual, well, it's pretty much a white or a blue dress shirt with a pair of dark or khaki trousers and maybe some square-toed shoes that are black, always black, and usually a matching belt. And that is sometimes a tie. And we'll see kind of a wide variety of ties there. And that is the de facto business casual look. And I'm going to give you 5 tips how to take that to the next level, because you don't have to look like an office, like a corporate drone. You can stand out a bit, and you'll look sharper, you'll look better. And these 5 tips are pretty easy to implement. I'm not talking about going out and spending a fortune on a new wardrobe. I'm just talking about simple adjustments that can really, you could do them all, you can do them one at a time. But in any case, if you do any of them, you're going to find that you're going to start to stand out, and that's a good thing. Because you don't want just to get lost in the crowd. I think Nudie Cohen said it best when it's better to be looked over than overlooked. So let me go ahead and start off. 5 steps to improve your business casual look. Number 1, focus on the fit. So many guys, especially in the United States, we wear our clothing too big, too loose. Usually 1 to 2 sizes too big. So take a step back and look at your clothing. And things that don't fit you, you probably need to look to phase out, to eventually get rid of. But you probably have a lot of clothing which can actually be altered to fit you better. So look at your dress shirts. Can you take them to a tailor, and can he or she go ahead and dart the shirt, basically bring in some fabric on the sides? If you're going to be buying new dress shirts, look to buy ones that fit your body. And don't be afraid if they fit you a little bit closer. A lot of manufacturers actually make very slim fit shirts. So if you're a smaller guy, a thinner guy, look for these type of shirts. You're going to pay maybe a little bit more, but you can find them on sale. If you're a much larger man, then you may have trouble, finding things. An option for really hard to fit guys, though, is custom. There's a number of online custom clothers. I know this because I happen to own one. And you can find some great deals out there. My advice is to find a certain company, find a brand, find somebody that makes shirts that fit you and stick with them. Perhaps get a local tailor who can make the little adjustments, and you can always bring something down to a certain point. There are proportion issues, but you can usually make, if a shirt's too big, you can usually make it a bit smaller. They can adjust, something as simple as actually moving the button on the shirt collar, or shortening the sleeves, which is very possible. They can dart the sides, which I've already mentioned. They can even shorten the shirt. When it comes to trousers, you're going to want, the big thing that you want to pay attention to is your rise. And your rise is the distance from the top of the trouser down to the bottom of your crotch area. And if the rise is too big, if there are a pair of trousers that are made to fit too many men, then they're never going to fit you properly. And it's very difficult. It's almost impossible. Well, it is impossible in some cases to adjust the rise. So always be looking at that area. You can adjust the thinness of the trouser actually as it is going up and down the leg. You can actually open up the sides of the trouser, and you can bring that in a bit. The height of the trouser, very easy to adjust, but it's something many men never even look to have done. If you're going to be buying a pair of jeans, and especially if they're a little bit higher end jeans, you're going to be paying more than $20 to $30 for them. Find out, does whoever you're purchasing from, do they actually hem them? Can they bring them up and make sure that they fit you properly when you take them out of the store? Not, a lot of this you can get paid for. So pay attention to fit. Easily, probably the most important thing that any man can do to have his clothing adjusted to fit him, and he's going to look a lot better. All right, the second thing is to improve and introduce some new colors. So I made a kind of a joke at the blue and white dress shirt, where there are reasons why most men stick with blue and white dress shirts. They're very easy to match, and they have there's a good color association with those. However, anything in a pastel color, which is a light color scheme, is going to work in a dress shirt. So something a peach, pink. What else do we have? Yellow, light yellow, tan. All of these are great colors that will match almost any tie in your wardrobe and are going to still match almost all of the trousers you currently have. You just have to go out there and look for clothing that's, well, just take a break from the blues and the whites. And I haven't even touched on patterns. So you want to look for stripes, look for a few checks. By introducing these into your wardrobe, you're immediately going to stand out. Now, be a little bit careful about checks. They are ultra casual, and you may be in an environment in which, is already ultra casual to begin with, so it's not really a big deal. But I like checks, especially for Fridays or an ultra casual environment, because you're less likely to have somebody else matching you. And unless you're a really wide or big guy, checks are going to look great on thinner men. All right. We've talked about avoid. The number 3 point is avoid cheap clothing. Now, I'm not saying avoid inexpensive clothing. There's a difference. Cheap clothing is usually made from fabrics that they just don't have great properties. So you want to look for shirts that are 100% cotton. You want to look for dress trousers that are 100% wool, jackets that are 100% wool or 100% cotton or linen. Things that come from natural materials. That's what you want to look for. Now, a small percentage of synthetic fiber is okay, and they often will introduce that so that it will get the properties which they're looking for. They want it to stretch or to hold a certain type of form. But once you see more than 20 to 30 to 40% polyester, all of a sudden the manufacturer, he's actually taking a cost-cutting approach. I've got a jacket which I just ordered from Walmart to kind of look at a few things on this. And yes, it was very inexpensive, $40. But you know what? It's 100% polyester. And I'm not bashing the jacket because for some men, that's all they can afford. But really, that jacket's going to be incredibly uncomfortable. And if that's all you can afford, I would advise you go out and thrift. Instead of spending $40 for a polyester jacket, go out and do a lot of thrifting. Go to the Salvation Army or Goodwill and find something that's much higher quality. It's going to take a bit longer, but you're going to get a better product, something that's naturally made, because naturally made fibers like cotton, wools, they just breathe better. And it's just a better property, a better experience, something that after a few dry cleans, you can easily tell if a jacket's polyester. It's going to start to have a shine to it. The fourth point is learn to layer. So layering is something that's learned. It's not something that comes naturally, and you need to practice. So I'm actually layering right here. You can see I have a white shirt and I've got a blue sports jacket. It's not actually a blazer, and I could talk about that in another section, but I'm doing a bit of layering here. So a jacket is easily one of the most versatile pieces to layer on. In addition, there are a lot of other great properties of a jacket, but that's beyond this article. Sweaters are a very underused, and I'm not talking those big, heavy, bulky sweaters. Invest in a very lightweight sweater, something that's not too hot, not too cool, that it could actually even be worn under a jacket. And you're going to find that a really lightweight sweater is a great accessory to have. It's something that you can pull over a short sleeve shirt. Let's say you're out in the desert, all of a sudden it gets cool in the evening. With a sweater, you can pull it on over the your polo, and it's going to look great. And you're still going to have a little bit of the collar peeping out. If you're wearing a long sleeve dress shirt, a sweater can be used as well. All right, and the last thing is pay attention to the details and your accessories. This is easily next to fit. I would say a man should always look to have a great pair of dress shoes, and that's where many men can easily improve their entire wardrobe by just introducing a few extra pairs of really nice. And I'm not talking dress shoes in the words of no, I'm not talking Oxfords or Balmoral Oxfords. I'm talking more dress boots. I'm talking slip-ons. These are, I think, just most men fall down here. They go with really ultra casual shoes because they think they're more comfortable. But if you can find a pair of really nice slip-ons that fit you well, and they're a bit more delicate in terms of they have a little bit thinner of a sole, and they've just got small details. They're made from a really fine leather. You're going to find that this is going to easily up your style. So when you have something that fits well, I mean, you could go shopping at Target and you can find some great items there that are naturally made, get them tailored to fit you better, and go out and spend $150, maybe $200 on a really nice pair of Italian moccasins or tassel loafers, and you're going to look great. And that's easily one of the first things. Ask any woman, what does she look at on a man when she meets him? I've got a friend, she says that many men think that she's shy because whenever she shakes their hand, she looks down. Well, what she's looking at are their shoes. And she's making an instant judgment on how well they take care of their shoes and how much money they spend on them. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and spend $1,000, but I am saying avoid really cheap shoes that are made from plastic or synthetic leather. You want something that's breathable, something that's quality made, something that's going to last decades. And a quality shoe will do that because you could send it off to get resold. Also pay attention to how you take care of your clothing. So always make sure your clothing's ironed. Always have an extra set of clothing at work that is ironed just in case, on the way up, I don't know, you just have to run out of the house and it's not ready. Better yet, have your clothing set out before you go to bed at night, and it will always be ironed. It will always be pressed. Because if you go in with scuffed shoes, you go in with non-iron shirts, the men who pay attention to those details, they're going to notice that you don't pay attention to those details. And I can tell you that, at least in my experience, a man who doesn't pay attention to the details isn't a man I want to trust or I want on my team at work, because he doesn't pay attention to those details, and I'm going to end up having to pull up the slack for him at work, and that's not what I want. The last part, grooming. Pay attention to, hair that's coming out of your nose, out of your ears. Cut your nails. Pay attention to your hair. If you use a product in your hair, don't use too much of it. Never use too much cologne. For most men, simply using deodorant and showering daily is all they need. All right, this has been Antonio. I hope you've enjoyed the summary. Go read the article. I get into a lot more detail there, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.